Just as quickly as we get good news about Nick Bonito and what he's been doing on the field, we get equally and maybe even more so of bad news when it comes to Denver Broncos injuries. Welcome in Broncos country to the Broncos Breakdown by Chat Sports. I'm going to tell you why on this episode the Broncos injury news just went from bad to worse surrounding these three players. Evan Engram, the most recent and newest, freshest injury, I guess you could call it. An update on Dre Greenlaw that doesn't look that great, and Justin Strnad, who I don't think is nearly as bad, but also kind of concerning. Let's just take a look at the full injury report, shall we? This is what the Broncos put out yesterday. Now, I do want to briefly mention that when the Broncos put this out, I was already on my way home yesterday, so I couldn't give you the full scope of everything that I'm thinking yesterday, because when this all came out, I was already done for the day. But I will start by saying this. Sean Payton needs to be more clear. He just does. We've been told time and time again from his own mouth that these injuries are on schedule. They look fine. They're on pace. And then all of a sudden, he switches up and sings a different tune surrounding Dre Greenlaw, and even more so with Evan Engram, declines to comment. So we'll talk about all of that coming up here in just a little bit. Despite the bad news that went from bad to worse, if you still think the Denver Broncos can win this Sunday against the Los Angeles Chargers, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up icon. It shows me you're trying to get the good vibes going. If I could, I totally would. Help set the tone and hit that like button. Let's talk Dre Greenlaw. He has not played a single game in 2025 due to this quad injury. And if you remember last week, Sean Payton came out and said he is on our schedule. Things look good. We'll see him sooner rather than later. And then yesterday, Dre Greenlaw doesn't practice again. And Sean Payton says, well, we felt like he was kind of on our schedule. And look, we spent time on it because it's a little more nebulous relative to the injury. And then that's all I'll say about that. Kind of on schedule? A little what does that mean, Sean Payton? I would much rather you say, and I quote, hey, we thought one thing about the injury. It turns out it's going to take a little bit more time than we originally thought. Just be clear. I don't need the head coach presidential answers of, well, we'll see, or trying to keep the peace, or keep the smiles up at Mile High. If the injury news is bad, deliver us the truth. And if we go back and look at the Dre Greenlaw timeline, it's not good. He suffered that quad injury during a workout in 2025, and we were told it was no big deal. He's totally fine. And then he comes back to practice a little bit at training camp, and everybody's singing his praises about how good he looks and how smart and intentional he is. Well, his last practice is July 31st. That's the last time Dre Greenlaw practiced. And then on September 1st, Sean Payton says, well, we need to be a little conservative right now about his injury. Fine, I'm okay with that. But you told us that we're going to see him sooner rather than later. And then yesterday, now the injury is a little bit more nebulous. Do you see where our anger and frustration lies, Coach Payton? It's because you tell us one thing, we're led to believe that he's going to be here sooner rather than later, and now we still don't know, and he's still not practicing. So my take is the injury is far worse than Payton reported. That's got to be the ultimate answer, is that Dre Greenlaw's injury is far worse than we originally thought. And that's fine, but you have to tell us that. And when I say that's fine, I don't mean like, oh, that's good news for the Broncos. I mean, okay, as long as we have a timeline for when he's going to get back on the field, we're paying the guy $10 million a year to sit on the bench. And if you look at the Broncos depth chart right now, I had told you guys from the very beginning of when I started hosting this show, and that was the Broncos linebacker room, while very full of talent, needs more depth. You've only got 4 players that are on the active 53. One of them is definitely not playing. Another one might not be playing. So what you're telling me is you're riding in with Alex Singleton and Kerene Reid. You need more help. We'll touch on that a little bit later on in the show. I'll ask you this question. What's your concern level about Dre Greenlaw right now. Scale it 1 to 10. 8? 8.5? I mean, look, I don't want to be the one that puts this thought in your brain, but I could absolutely see a position right now where the Broncos don't see Dre Greenlaw on the field until week 6, 7, or 8. And now you're looking at almost half the season is completely gone. So I'm a little concerned. I'm at 8 right now, but you let me know in the comment section down below. Now let's talk Evan Engram. This one came out of left field. It's not even a calf injury that seems to be bothering him. This is an entirely new injury. And the fact that Sean Payton declined to say anything about Evan Engram is making me very, very nervous about the injury. Because I believe that when you don't comment, you actually say a lot. And I'm going to tell you those thoughts and those opinions coming up here in just a second. Before I do that, I have to tell you about today's presenting sponsor, and that is Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every single day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on Prize Picks, where it is good to be right. Very simple to play. Pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you could cash in. It is the best way to win cash this football season. Which players going off, which ones aren't. Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your takes into cash all season long on Prize Picks. You want to know what my lineup looks like? Take a look at this bad boy right here. I comboed it. Matt Olson, who got the more on his hitting score, followed by James Cook, Michael Penix Jr., and of course, he who shall not be named, Patrick Mahomes, but it's a max discount play, meaning he's going to get more than half a passing yard. So it's almost like free money at that point. Your picks can look like mine or completely different. It's entirely up to you. Just download the Prize Picks app and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Let's start by saying this. The fact that my head coach went out and declined to comment at his most recent press conference says a lot to me. So Evan Engram was spotted not practicing. Naturally, the media is going to say, hey, red flag there. Why isn't he practicing? And Sean Payton said, yeah, I've got no comment on that. Translation, it's not good. It's not good news. At least that's what it means to me. You could think differently. Maybe he's waiting to find out more information. But if he had information at his hand, and if it was good information, he would tell us, don't you think? And I feel like this might be, maybe not this injury specifically, but the injuries total might be leading to why Evan Engram has not nearly carved out the role that we thought he would for this Broncos offense. 2 games, he's got 6 targets. 4 catches for 33 yards. That's not nearly good enough. That's not why you're paying him all the money you're paying him. And if you look at the injuries that he's sustained so far, you've got a bit of a problem. He had the calf injury against the Titans, threw his helmet in frustration, ends up being fine and able to play week 2 against the Colts. And I can only assume that this back injury was sustained during the Colts because he didn't practice yesterday. So if it didn't happen during the game against the Colts, it happened from the time the Colts game ended to yesterday, Wednesday. So in a 72-hour span, what happened to Dre Greenlaw's back, or Evan Engram's back? Here's the actual problem, though, that I think the Broncos are running into. It has nothing to do with the day-to-day injuries, right? It has nothing to do with the one specific back injury or the one specific foot injury or the one specific calf injury. The Broncos rolled the dice on players with injury history. Greenlaw, Hufanga, Engram, Dobbins, all of these players have dealt with injuries before. They're all incredibly talented. And it's been bleak so far. Greenlaw hasn't played. Engram hasn't looked good. Hufanga's been a bright spot. I'll give credit where credit is due, and same with J.K. Dobbins. But my thoughts and concerns still remain, and I will go back and end today's episode with a thought that I had 2 months ago when I was telling you guys about the offseason program for the Broncos. Before I do that, quick TV timeout. If you appreciate the injury report and update, do me a favor and hit that sub button. It's going to help you keep up with everything surrounding the Denver Broncos every time there is an injury update, good or bad news. I'm here to deliver all of it to you. I will have it covered. So hit that sub button and make sure you stay locked in. Let's go to Justin Stranad, who has been outstanding. Outstanding this season so far. He has really filled into that starting role with flying colors. And I say starting role because he has been starting. He's been excellent so far. Now, this injury to his foot might be worse than we originally thought, but I also believe that this could be more precautionary considering you don't have Dre Greenlaw playing. And again, I'll go back to the Broncos linebacker room. Now you have to bring in someone from the practice squad. That's going to be Levelle Bailey. He's the most talented linebacker on that practice squad, and it's not even close. But I did say 2 months ago, linebackers were a concern. And I got so much pushback, so much negative comments. They're not injured right now, Moose. We've got plenty of depth. We're totally fine. Drew Sanders gets injured. Dre Greenlaw gets injured. Alex Singleton's dealt with a broken thumb. Please tell me how I was wrong in this case. We're seeing why I went out and said we need an extra piece. So now what are the solutions? Right? Because I can't just harp on the problem. Moose, you got to solve the problem. Okay, well, here's the solution. Kerene Reid, Alex Singleton are your ones and twos. When Drew Sanders comes back after his short-term IR designation after week 4, so he can't be available until week 5, he can be another option. But you got Levelle Bailey from the practice squad, and then J.L. Skinner, who's actually a safety, but if he needed to play linebacker in a pinch, he could. I don't know how effective that would be, but it's a makeshift, Band-Aid solution. And speaking of Band-Aids, this entire linebacker problem is not something that you can just put a Band-Aid on. You need another piece. So sign a free agent. Jawan Bentley is still out there. Sign him. Trade for a linebacker. There has to be somebody that you could package a deal with that you could end up getting someone to come in and start immediately. I don't want to be the one that has to harp on this or continue to spew the same information to you guys, but this is why I was concerned. It's because Dre Greenlaw has these major injury concerns. And Alex Singleton, dealing with the thumb thing, he was not good against the Indianapolis Colts. So if the Broncos defense is going to be as stout and as amazing as we've touted them to be, this is the one key area that they have to improve upon. The pass rush is going to be fine. The cornerbacks are going to be fine. The safeties look really, really good. Brandon Jones played well. Talanoa Funga looks great. Outside of that, you have a glaring hole over the middle of the field, and it's time to do something about it. That's going to do it for us on today's episode. Emotions are running high. I think you guys forget sometimes, too, I am a fan of the Broncos as well. So I do want to give you my clear and unbiased analysis, but I also am a fan. So the care for the Broncos and the success of the Broncos is something that I feel very passionately about. So I'm going to give you raw emotion as well. Until next time, Broncos country, I will be back today live with some really fun segments, maybe some about the linebackers, the defense, and the offense as a whole. Until next time, Broncos country, a mile high salute to you. Be cool.